Have you ever heard about this movie, The Lion King 1.5? I personally grew up watching this movie and I had a great memory of it. And so, I've rewatched it recently and I have to talk to you about it. Hi everyone, I hope y'all are doing fine. In today's video, I am going to give my opinion on The Lion King 1.5. If you guys want to support this channel, don't forget to leave a like or dislike if you want. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's start this review. Spoilers alert for the rest of the video. The Lion King 1.5 is an adventurous, comedic, animated movie released exclusively on DVD on February 10th, 2004. Its runtime is 83 minutes, so 1 hour and 23 minutes. The movie was produced by Disney Toon Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Home Entertainment. The movie was directed by Bradley Raymond, who previously directed Pocahontas 2: Journey to a New World, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. He went on to direct 2 Tinkerbell movies after the release of The Lion King 1.5. Let's say that this director has some experience when it comes to directing Disney DVD sequels, so the project was in good hands in some way. But you know, it's still a Disney DVD sequel, so here are the writing credits of the movie on screen. Shout out to you if you recognize any of these names. The casting of this movie is composed of Nathan Lane as Timon, Ernie Sabella as Pumbaa, Julie Kavner as Timon's mom, Jerry Stiller as Uncle Max, and many more. Now, with all that information said, let's move on to the movie itself. Let me resume the movie for you. The movie starts the same way that the original The Lion King movie started, with its infamous introduction, but instead of enjoying this incredible intro song, we listen to Timon and Pumbaa's atrocious singing. We then see Timon and Pumbaa sitting on some theater's chairs while being in full shadow mode. They watch the original The Lion King movie, but they actually want to watch their perspective of the story. So they go back before the events of the original movie and we get a musical introduction to the meerkats. We learn that they hide from hyenas in underground tunnels. Every meerkat puts effort into making these tunnels, but there's always one of them causing trouble. He is the most clumsy meerkat of them all, and he destroys everything he touches. We then learned that Timon actually wants to discover the world and not stay with his meerkat troops, but his mother doesn't want to let him go.
Everything the light touches belongs to someone else.
Funny, I thought you were going a whole different direction with this.
And so, he gets a new job, warning the meerkats if he sees hyenas coming for them. For some reason, he starts to sing alone. And because of his ADHD, the hyenas approach the meerkat's living place and they try to eat them all. And so, his mother then accepts to let him go because he is too useless for the meerkats. And so, Timon goes on an adventure by himself to find his place in this world. But after walking for God knows how long, he starts to cry and meets a wise monkey who tells him to look beyond what he sees.
To find it, you must look beyond what you see.
What the heck is that supposed to mean?
Which makes him look at the Pride Rock. And so he assumes that that's where he needs to go. On his way there, he meets Pumbaa and they get along pretty fine. So Pumbaa joins him on his journey. When they arrive at the Pride Rock, they see the infamous scene where the wise monkey shows Simba to the world, and they try to walk past all the animals on the floor. Pumbaa then has a side effect of eating too much Taco Bell and farts like a bomb.
Timon, there's something I gotta tell you. I got a really bad feeling.
Trust me, it'll pass.
Which makes all the animals kneel. That's now canon, by the way. Timon and Pumbaa then arrive at a little place that looks like a house, and that house is the only one like this in a 1,000-mile radius. I don't understand how a place like this can exist because there is no other house like this in a 1,000-mile radius.
You said that already!
And nobody even lived there, so how is that possible, you know? Anyways, they then sleep separately in their own beds that are totally fairly separated. As they wake up, they hear Simba, which somehow has grown up this much in one day, LMAO, sing a song. They then continue their journey and they walk through nostalgic elements from the original movie.
The hyenas are after us. What the hell?
No unexpected visitors?
Did you pray today? Did you pray today? Because if you didn't,
Something tells me this ain't the traveling company of Riverdale.
take you down on some gangster shit.
Home sweet home, Pumbaa.
Shall we run for our lives?
Oh yes, let's.
They then get yeeted off in a river, and right after that, they fall from the river's falls. They then die and the movie ends. Just kidding. They survived and they proclaimed each other as new friends.
You're the only friend I've ever had.
You mean?
Yeah, Pumbaa.
I'm gay.
They then find paradise on Earth and sing Hakuna Matata. In the meantime, Timon's mom is scared for her son and the wise monkey tells her what he told her son.
So I told a boy to find Hakuna Matata, you must look beyond what you see.
Oh, a metaphor.
Well, actually, it's not.
Back to Timon and Pumbaa. They find Simba unconscious in the desert with vultures around him. They then decide to kidnap him and adopt him. We then get a montage of Simba growing up and having a snail eating competition against Timon. The three of them seemed to live a perfect life until Nala came in and stole Simba from them because Simba is a simp. We then get a montage of Timon and Pumbaa attempting to sabotage Simba's relationship with Nala, but they fail miserably each time. Simba then leaves and Nala explains to Timon and Pumbaa the situation he's in. They don't seem to understand it at first,
Patatsuna po kada fratello. Ito talaga to simpatake.
but after reflecting on if they have to go help him or not, we get a confrontation between Timon and Pumbaa because Pumbaa wants to go help Simba while Timon wants to stay at their paradise. And so Pumbaa leaves and Timon becomes alone again. The wise monkey then appears out of nowhere, and because Timon used common sense,
So, if you're so happy, why do you look so miserable? Why should I be miserable? Oh, I don't know. Maybe my two best pals in the world deserted me. My friends have gone. And my Hakuna Matata went with them.
Oh my God, bro.
decides to join Pumbaa. They then help Simba by dancing a Hawaii style,
Baba Booey.
so they can distract the hyenas. Timon's mom then also appears out of nowhere with Uncle Max and they help Timon fight the hyenas. They then make a tunnel to make the hyenas fall, but the tunnel doesn't entirely break, so the hyenas laugh and move towards our protagonists to eat them. Timon then does a Superman moment and uses his clumsy personality to make the tunnels destroyed entirely. And so the hyenas fall off and our protagonists win. We then watch the conclusion of the original The Lion King movie, and we get back to Timon and Pumbaa's paradise where all the meerkats have been relocated. Back in the cinema, Timon's mom joins the room and wants to watch the movie with Timon and Pumbaa, but both of them don't want to watch it again. The problem is that there are thousands of Disney characters entering the room also wanting to watch the movie, and they watch the movie all again. And so, that's how the movie ends. Now, let's talk about what I liked during my watch time of The Lion King 1.5. The first thing that I liked about this movie is the name of the movie itself. The movie was originally supposed to be called The Lion King 3 Hakuna Matata, but they chose The Lion King 1.5 instead. I think this is a great and unique choice of name in that context, where the movie takes place during the events of the first one, but this time it's from a different perspective. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the concept of Timon and Pumbaa watching the movie. I think it's a nice and fun touch to the movie itself. It wasn't necessarily needed, but it adds some jokes and some perspectives on some situations, and I think the concept is fun.
Were you just picking your nose?
No, I had an itch on the inside.
I also really like how it's all black and they didn't use any colors.
What do you mean by that?
It makes this aspect of the movie more recognizable and unique. Another thing that I liked about this movie are some of the songs. Honestly, they weren't all that good, and obviously they are not better than the ones from the original movie, but I had a great time listening to them, even if they were really too random and objectively not incredible. I think nostalgia had a really big part in my appreciation of the songs. Shout out to the first one though. This one's a banger. Another thing that I like about this movie is Pumbaa's character. He is undoubtedly the best character of the movie. He is funny, relatable, and reasonable. He is, in my opinion, better than Timon. He is the voice of reason throughout the whole movie, while Timon is just a selfish motherfucker. I had compassion for Pumbaa every time he was treated wrong by Timon. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the colors, and especially in the sky. I like how the colors made the lightning of the movie look so nice, and that's especially shown with the sky. I like the blue of the night and the yellow of the day. Another thing that I liked about this movie is that they talked about the problem of loneliness. That's especially shown with Pumbaa and Timon's character. They both are lonely in a different way. Timon is lonely because all of the other meerkat don't like him, and Pumbaa is just straight up lonely all the time. When they met, they both felt less lonely and they developed a friendship. I like how the movie portrays loneliness and how the character overcame it. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the score. It really resembles the score from the original movie, which is amazing, and in this new one, I believe they also nailed it. They reused some of the songs from the original score, but they were greatly used in my opinion, and the new songs were also great. So no complaints about that. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the parallels of the tunnels. During the beginning of the movie, we watched the meerkats make tunnels, and I was afraid that it would be a useless scene for the movie. But turns out it was quite useful, because Timon's mom made a tunnel at the end of the movie to try and make the hyenas fall off their pride rock, which is a nice parallel to the beginning of the movie. Finally, the last thing that I liked about this movie is the animation. For a 2004 movie, I find the animation used kinda cute. It's not especially fluid, but you become used to it during the movie, and I think the animation is good for Disney DVD sequels released in 2004. Now, with all that said, let's talk about what I found okay during my watch time of The Lion King 1.5. The first thing that I found okay about this movie is how unoriginal Timon's story is. I find the storyline of Timon wanting to discover the world so corny, and that's like one of the most used premises ever, I believe. There's a reason why people joke about Shrek 5 using this kind of storyline for Felicia, Shrek's daughter. They joke about it because nowadays it has become such an easy path to take to make an unoriginal story, you know? Another thing that I found okay about this movie are the environments. I feel like the environments of the movie are too empty, especially in the desert. We're missing some environmental details and life forms, in my opinion. It's just kind of a boring environment to look at, you know? Another thing that I found okay about this movie is how it tries too much to be like the first one. I know that the movie takes place during the same time as the first movie.
Well, no f***ing shit.
But it's another movie leaning into nostalgia to sell, and I don't like that. I like original content, not reused content. They wanted to use a formula that worked previously, and in this one, I don't feel like it worked well enough. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is Timon. Honestly, he's not a great character in my opinion.
What?
He reminds me a lot of Woody and Shrek. Timon is a selfish guy that takes advantage of his friends and thinks the world turns around him.
You hired
For what?
to get me to a little worry-free haven out by that big pointy rock. This place has everything. Cool refreshment, cozy little hammock, a lovely water feature, and it's all mine.
Who can say
Despite him having some great intentions and values, I still find his character disrespectful towards Pumbaa and annoying at times.
Put some respect on my name. When y'all saying my name, put some respect on.
Also, having him as the main protagonist of the movie made the movie less enjoyable at times. His meeting with Pumbaa was also so random, like it was not meaningful enough in my opinion. I like that two lonely guys become friends, but how they met is just really fast and random. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is how they try to be emotional. They try to make emotional moments with Timon and Pumbaa, but it's not effective, for me at least. The scene where Timon's mother tries to help his son out, for example, are supposed to be emotional, but because I have little attachments towards his character, well, it doesn't work. I don't feel attached enough to the characters, except Pumbaa, to feel emotional for them. So when there's an emotional moment between two characters, I'm just watching my screen with a Squid Game face on. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is how useless some of the Disney references are. The biggest example that I have in mind here is at the end of the movie when all of the Disney characters entered the cinema to watch the movie all over again with Timon and Pumbaa. It's so useless in my opinion, and I get that it can be just a fun reference for many people, but at the same time I'm like, why? Disney maybe just wanted to show off, you know? But whatever. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is how little obstacles and menaces there are. The movie is pretty much just a chill journey with almost no obstacles to beat. The hyenas are menaces, but they only appear 2 times and they end up being defeated without consequences on our protagonist's mental and physical health. I find it boring how during most of the runtime, our characters are just like walking and talking, and that's it. No challenging situations to confront or problems to solve. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is some of the goofy SFX used. The sound design overall is good enough, but sometimes there are some goofy SFX that make me laugh just because of how out of pocket they are.
Belongs to someone else.
They snap you out of the movie just because they jump scare you with their goofiness. The last thing that I found okay about this movie is how Timon is praised by the other meerkats at the end of the movie. During the beginning of the movie, all the meerkats hated his guts, but at the end of the movie, they suddenly switched up on him without showing to the viewers how. We get the why, because he saved the people on the Pride Rock, but there's a moment missing in the movie to show the viewers how their view on Timon changed. He brought them a paradise, fine, but this change of opinion changed too fast, in my opinion. Now, with all that information said, let's talk about what I disliked during my watch time of The Lion King 1.5. The first thing that I disliked about this movie is the humor. Honestly, the jokes of this movie are not really effective and they are pretty childish. No shit, you'll say, because it's a kid's movie. Yeah, I'm a grown man talking about how childish the humor is in a child movie. What are you gonna do about it? Even some child movies can make effective jokes. The problem is not the target audience. The problem are the jokes themselves and how they do not land well. Another thing that I disliked about this movie is how repetitive it is. I feel like a lot of aspects of this movie are repetitive, like the humor, the environments, the shots, and some scenes. I like to watch original stuff that doesn't reuse everything all the time, and I feel like it was the case here. Another thing that I disliked about this movie is how slow it is and how almost nothing happens. Honestly, I can't really develop on what I just said here because it is exactly like I said it. The movie is going slowly and almost nothing interesting happens. That makes the movie boring for me.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Another thing that I disliked about this movie is how it ridiculizes the first movie. Like I said many times now, the events of the movie happen at the same time as during the original movie. In this new one, they reference a lot of moments from the old movie and they ridiculize it by making jokes about it that becomes canon in this universe. The biggest example that I have of that is when the animals animals kneeled in front of Simba. Now, the canon reason of doing that is because Pumbaa fucking farted. Do you understand how fucking dumb this is? They ruined a beautiful moment from the first movie by making fun of it, and I hate it. Another thing that I disliked about this movie is how the timeline doesn't make sense. The biggest example of that is when Pumbaa and Timon fell asleep in their first home. It is led to believe that it is the next morning. So, explain to me how Simba grew up so fast in one night. It's just too dumb in my opinion. You can defend them by saying that it could be a long fast forward, but honestly that would just be cap and you would just be coping. Another thing that I disliked about this movie is how they retold the story of the first movie. The Lion King 1994 is such a beautiful story full of emotions. In this third installment, they just turned these beautiful moments into jokes. It's like you're watching an emotional story, but it's actually a comedy. This genre doesn't fit the story, in my opinion. And I don't even find the movie funny, so that's just a bad reinterpretation of the original story, in my opinion. They even skipped the most crucial parts of the movie that makes the events of the movie understandable and connected. If you haven't watched the original movie, you wouldn't understand shit about this one. It's like they cut off important parts just because they've already been told. But the consequence of that is that it makes this new movie confusing for the new viewers. Another thing that I disliked about this movie is that I don't find the purpose of the movie for the franchise. I don't think the movie added anything new for the franchise moving forward. It just retold a story without adding anything mind-blowing or future storyline to develop on. Finally, the last thing that I disliked about this movie is the usage of Timon's mother and Uncle Max. Before jumping into why, let me just say that I believe that Timon's mother is an okay character and that Uncle Max is a bad character.
Now, something's different about Timon.
You think?
He's wearing a dress!
Now, with that said, why do I think they were poorly used? Well, here's why. They appeared 2 to 3 times in the movie and they were barely important. Timon's mom was important during the beginning of the movie because she was what was keeping Timon with the other meerkats. But when he left, the viewers forgot about her because she didn't appear for so long. Same goes for Uncle Max. He was just there for comedic purposes and he wasn't really funny, honestly. They only came back at the end of the movie to make a tunnel and see Timon. They could have been more important to the story than just that. But they were barely used and that's why I believe their usage was bad. Now that I have mentioned what I think of this movie, let me give you my overall review of the movie. The Lion King 1.5 is a bad retold story that is trying so hard to be funny, but fails at that. The movie is based on pure nostalgia and doesn't bring anything really interesting in the franchise. The movie looks and sounds good, but the biggest problem is the story. The pacing is just too slow and nothing happens most of the time. Timon is not a really likable main protagonist sometimes. Good thing there was Pumbaa to balance things though. What a go-to character. The movie is missing a lot of information and scenes, which sadly makes it confusing for a newer audience. I will give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think of The Lion King 1.5? Leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me your thoughts on the movie. Leave a like or dislike if you want. Subscribe if you want more content like this and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.